show. Eric, good morning, and thanks for joining us. You're on mute, Eric. We'll get
now. I'm not on mute anymore.
Yeah. You're not on mute
Sorry
anymore.
about that.
All good, Eric.
I wish
so
we
much.
could put Drew on mute, Eric.
Yeah, you could put me on mute after. Eric, a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Obviously, still in quarantine, and we'll talk about that. But I first want to, when you hear Winnipeg Jets goaltender Eric Comrie, does that sound better, or does it sound any different than when you said Detroit Red Wings goaltender Eric Comrie or New Jersey Devils goaltender Eric Comrie? Because it's sort of like winter and Winnipeg. It just goes together. Eric Comrie and Jets goaltender. It just sounds like it goes well together.
That's funny. I mean, I've been back here a lot, and I love my time here. It's been great every time I come back. It's funny because I've been around the league a lot, but I always end up coming back.
Eric, you were with the New Jersey Devils organization for, I believe it was just over a month, but what was it like, to pick up that win in that game? Because as Drew mentioned, as you talked about last year, you were a member of, 3 different organizations, but, how important was that for you, to get that win in the game for the Devils, even though you were only with them for that short period of time?
No, for sure. I think it was really important. I mean, anytime you go to a team, your job is to win hockey games. And that's what they brought me in to do, is to win a hockey game when my time came. And I was happy to be able to do that and help them get the win. And I mean, I had a lot of fun in New Jersey, had a lot of support there with the goalie coach there, and the management there, and the coaches are awesome there. And the team's a really young, fun team to play for. And I was really happy with my time there, and just, it was a big win for the team.
Eric, you obviously had the benefit of working with Rick St. Croix with the Manitoba Moose and Wade Flaherty with the Jets, but what benefit can you get as a player learning from different goaltenders? There's 2 schools of thought, I would imagine. One is that it could cause confusion because you've got different voices, but there's also the opportunity to pick up different tips that maybe you haven't thought of. So what did you learn? What did you see a benefit learning from, in Arizona, in Detroit, and now in New Jersey?
Yes, I would say so, for sure. There's always a benefit in learning other places, but like you said, it can become confusing. Like when I was in Arizona, they wanted me to play deep, and then I went to Detroit, they wanted me to play far out. Like it's a learning process every time you go there, so it takes time to adjust. Like when I went to Detroit, they wanted me to narrow my stance. When I went to New Jersey, Rogie said, "Go out there and play. You're here for a reason." He didn't tell me anything to do. He just said, "Go out there, play. Don't think. Go play." And sometimes I fall into the thing where I start thinking too much. And he was one of the first goalie coaches I ever had, who's pretty much just told me, "Hey, you're here because we liked you. We've seen you play the American League a lot of games. You post unbelievable numbers in the American League, and there's a reason." He goes, "You haven't been as successful in the NHL level, and there's a reason for this." He goes, "I think it's just you've been put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you've tried to think your way through the game." He goes, "I want you to come here and don't think at all. Just go play. Play like it's an American League game, and just play. And that's what I did in New Jersey.
Eric Comrie is our guest on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Eric, of course, is a goaltender for the Winnipeg Jets. He's still in quarantine, is soon to be out of quarantine, and we'll talk about that over the course of this interview. Eric, sort of piggybacking on that comment, you talked about how in Detroit they wanted you to play a certain style and maybe change your game. Is having organizational philosophies about how individual goaltenders should play almost detrimental to the goaltenders, as opposed to sort of taking a goalie, seeing what he does best, and just making him the best goalie possible, as opposed to trying to revamp how they've been successful thus far?
That's actually a good question, because I mean, there has to be some part of teaching. I mean, when you're a young guy coming to the league, you have to get taught. You have to get taught how to play the pro game, because the pro game is different than a junior game or a college game. So you have to learn it. I mean, when I came to even to St. John's, my first goalie coach there was Dusty Emu, and I had to learn how to play the pro game. And then when I went to Manitoba, I had Rick St. Croix, and he taught me how to play the pro game. It's different. It's different than playing a junior game. So you have to have some aspect of teaching, but you have to work with the goaltender's skills to achieve kind of the style you want him to play. You can't just change his style. You have to work with him and to kind of mold him to where you want him to get to.
Eric, Drew just mentioned, you're in quarantine and you're going to be out of quarantine, thank God, very soon. But, how have you been, keeping yourself busy? How have you been, keeping yourself in shape? Like, you're a pro athlete, right? So you gotta still get your workouts in. So, what's it like, and how much are you looking forward to finally getting out of quarantine and joining the boys?
So this is going to be a strange stat. This is my 28th day. As soon as I get out of quarantine, it'll be my 28th day of quarantine in 34 days. Because was in New Jersey right before I got put on waivers. We had a 2-week shutdown, and my girlfriend got COVID. So I was in a close contact quarantine. So I actually couldn't leave my hotel room or apartment for 2 weeks. So so going to the day I get back, it's going to be a really exciting day to get back on the ice, because there's been about 3 skates in the last 30 something days. So it'll be nice.
And, Eric, you were drafted by the Jets organization. You have so many records for the Manitoba Moose. So what was it like? I mean, there was an opportunity in New Jersey, but what is it like in terms of a comfort for you being able to come back here? And who was the first person you heard from when you got claimed back by the Winnipeg Jets?
First person that texted me was definitely Josh Morrissey. He's a good buddy of mine. We're the same age. We've played together for a number of tournaments, and we're good buddies. I mean, Scheisse was right away. A couple of guys from the Moose, Nelson Auger, just a bunch of guys here. And it's always been a fun place for me to come back to. And I really enjoy all the guys here. They're just such great guys, such great teammates. And I mean, they're a reason why they're usually a winning hockey team, because it's a good group.
Eric Comrie is our guest on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We're live on YouTube. You can also, of course, make sure you hit the subscribe button and subscribe to the podcast in case you missed any of the show or any of this interview. Eric, it's well known, the frequent flyer miles you put on, in the last number of years of your career. How do you think that's affected your development, moving from Winnipeg to Arizona to Detroit to New Jersey to Winnipeg and onwards and onwards and onwards? How do you think that's impacted your development as a goaltender, as a professional hockey goaltender?
I've added a few more jerseys to my workout room, which is nice. But I mean, I don't know if it's I think it's probably helped. If anything, you get different experiences, different places you go. And I've been lucky enough to everywhere I've gone, except for Arizona, I didn't play an NHL game there. But anytime you get an NHL game in, it's a dream come true to step on that ice. I mean, that's what I want. It's what I've trained my whole life to do, is step on that NHL ice surface. And I'm just so happy that everywhere I've gone, I've gotten a good opportunity, and it's been exciting for myself. And I think that's helping my development, getting that experience and just meeting new guys and practicing with different NHL level players. And that's what you want. That's what you need to get better at the end of the day.
Eric, the expectation is that you're going to be part of the taxi squad, which is obviously a unique situation. We're not expecting that to be something that continues just because of the expectation that the COVID pandemic is eventually going to improve. But what are your personal expectations? Because that's a unfamiliar position for yourself. You're used to playing in games, and obviously we hope that you are going to get into games, but obviously there is the chance that that won't happen for a while. So kind of what's your mindset right now, knowing that it's going to be a little different than in previous years for yourself?
No, it's definitely a strange scenario. I mean, it was a whole strange scenario the whole year with the third goalie situation. I'm not sure if they should have had just a third goalie roster spot, because the amount of movement with third goalies this year has been kind of crazy, and I think it's affected some of the players. I mean, I know my good buddy Troy Grosnick was bounced around a lot. There's been a couple of guys that have been going everywhere. And for myself, I mean, it worked out well for myself because I got an NHL game in. I mean, that's always exciting to go down there and play a game. I'd never would turn it back for anything else because I got to play a game, and that's exciting for myself. But going into this year, I wasn't sure how many games I'd actually play, just because the whole, like what you said about the taxi squad, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the dynamics if you're going to get a game in or not, if they're going to send you down to the Moose to get a couple of conditioning games in. Because I mean, I want Helly and Brossoit to play as good as they can to make the team win. That's at the end of the day, our goal is all the same, is to win a Stanley Cup with the team, NHL team you're on. That's the goal for any player in this organization, is to get the Jets to win the Stanley Cup. And so you never want to see anyone get injured or anything like that. So you want to keep them playing. So it's, at the end of the day, you just have to stay ready the best you can. And I was super excited to get that game in Jersey, because I wasn't sure going this year if I was going to play at all.
Eric, one of the things that I guess, that idea of comfort is if you do happen to get into a game, and we don't know, like you said, you hope it doesn't, because that generally means there's obviously an injury situation. But how big of a benefit, again, will it be to you to know that this team? I mean, these are guys that you've essentially grown up with. And there's, and we've seen so many of the guys from the Moose graduate. And to your point, you know all these guys because you've spent years and years with them on the road. So how much, and I know you've played games for the Jets obviously previously, but again, coming back into a comfortable situation, a situation where you're not the new guy. You're not like, hey, I have to introduce you to the equipment managers. You know all these guys. And to me, I wonder like how much from a psychological, because I never talked to you at the end of like, I talked to you with the Moose, but I mean, in the sense that was one thing I was always curious about because you went, I chronicled it, Arizona, Detroit, Winnipeg, Manitoba, like it was a lot, and it's a lot mentally for one person to go through. And people just act like, oh, you're a pro athlete, deal with it. But you're at the end of the day, you're still a person, and you have to you still have to deal with that. So I wonder how much that plays in for you.
No, for sure. It's I'm pretty good at making friends, so it's pretty easy for me. But it's hard for even I have my girlfriend, my dog. It's hard for that. Like it's hard for them she has to meet new friends, and she's not around them all the time. So it's harder for her. We're stuck inside hotel rooms with my dog and her, and it's not always the most fun thing but at the end of the day, it is part of the job. It's something that we have to do. And I understand that. And it's something that I've probably been more accustomed to than other people. And I've always been good at making friends. So that's the easiest thing for me is just go there and say, okay, I'm going to meet some new guys. And I mean, it's not bad, but like you said, coming back here, and if I had to play a game here, I think knowing the guys would be a huge help just because we have the good communication, even defense handles, some of that would be a lot easier. And I think even playing the game in New Jersey would help me. I mean, just extra experience, a little bit of stuff here, and just help me play. If I have to get into a game, I'd have to know that I'll be ready.
Eric Comrie is our guest on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We're live on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also subscribe to the podcast in case you missed any of this great interview. Eric, you obviously got a win with the Devils earlier this year. It had been your first NHL win in a couple of seasons. How does that win does it feel different after you go a couple of years without getting an NHL victory?
Yes, for sure. It's relieving. It's relieving. I mean, it's hard to explain. It's you start to not doubt yourself, but you start to say, oh my goodness, can I play well enough at this level? Can I do this? Because you start to question yourself. Okay, I've been good enough in the American League the last couple of years. I've put up good numbers, and usually those numbers that I've put up usually translates to NHL success. So you wonder why isn't it working as well? So you start to doubt yourself a little bit. You have to just almost let go and just let the game take care of itself. And I think that's what I tried to do. I just try to go out there and just be the best Eric Comrie I can be and not try and put as much pressure on myself. And it was relieving to get that win.
Do you work with a sports psychologist? Go ahead, Drew. Sorry, Ezzy, do you work with a sports psychologist on a regular basis to sort of overcome some of those doubts?
No, I don't think I actually haven't. I've read a lot of books about that stuff and things like that, but I haven't actually worked with a sports psychologist. I mean, I've looked at it in the past, but I've always been a pretty confident person. And just you don't get a lot of chances at the NHL level, if you know what I mean. Like you get I've been very fortunate to get as many chances I have, and usually you don't get a lot of chances. And it's about taking care of business when you get those chances. And it's I've been lucky enough to get enough opportunities. My last one went pretty well. So hopefully I can get another opportunity in the future.
I know, Eric, there are a lot of Jets and Moose fans that didn't doubt you. And I know all of us, from our personal Twitter accounts and Illegal Curve Twitter accounts, we were all super happy that you got that win for the Devils. And we were secretly hoping that you were going to come back. And it eventually did happen. So just wanted to get that in there. But, wanted to ask you, I believe you've been back for just over a week and a half here in Winnipeg. And I wanted to kind of ask you, what it's like to watch Jets games. Like you're in quarantine, but when you're like watching the Jets Habs game and the Jets go down 2-0, and then they come back and Nate Thompson scores the winner, Blake Wheeler ties that game up. Like, are you just going nuts in your condo or house, or like what's a Jets game day for you like in this kind of unique situation?
So it's actually that's a weird question because I'm watching the game and I'm excited for the team, but there's other part of me going, oh, I really want to be there. It's making me sad every time. So it's like, yes, let's go. And then I'm like, no, I want to be there. I'm really sad. And then I'm like, yes, they won. I'm like, oh, I really wish I was there to see the guys. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like, I'm so happy. I'm excited for the team. And then I'm like, oh, I really want to be there. I wish I could be there. Now I'm a little bit sad. So it's kind of like a give and take kind of thing.
Eric, you talked about, having a lot of new jerseys for your gym. Are you a collector? Are you a kind of guy who, after that game in New Jersey, do they give you the game puck? Do they give you the jersey? I saw the helmet you had designed for your stint in New Jersey. Are you the kind of player who keeps those types of mementos?
I haven't been a huge collector. I have my first win jersey, my first win puck, first win stick. But I haven't really collected a ton of stuff. I still need to get my Detroit jersey because it's kind of a cool jersey to have. I mean, original 6 team's kind of cool. I have a lot of Jets jerseys because I've been here for so long and it holds a special place in my heart. And I want to make sure I get my New Jersey jersey. It's kind of a tongue twister. And then, I mean, my mask. So that mask I have, I love because I was a huge Martin Brodeur fan growing up. He was my favorite goalie. I mean, I used to cut my hair like him. It was like everything Martin Brodeur was me. But then the mask I had is actually just a wrap. It's actually my Jets mask, just wrapped with stuff. So I'm like, okay, so they're going to have to peel that off. So I'm like, I'm really trying to figure out who I'm going to get to paint my mask to replicate that because I really want to put that in my basement because that's kind of a cool thing for me to have, like one of my idols growing up on my mask. It's kind of like a special thing for me.
Eric Comrie, our guest on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Eric, of course, a Winnipeg Jets goaltender, soon to finish up his quarantine. What's been keeping you busy in quarantine? I guess sort of a 2-part question. How do you keep yourself fit? Do you speak to Wade Flaherty and sort of have a routine that keeps you limber and keeps you fit during this quarantine? And then, on the maybe TV side of things, what are you watching to keep yourself entertained as you're stuck inside for a while?
Oh, well, for myself, I mean, the team gave me some weight, so I've been lifting a lot of weight here. I've been doing a little bit of cardio stuff, just to try and stay in shape. And I actually have this system called Sense Arena. It's like a VR system. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before. It's pretty cool. It's for goalie training. It's kind of, they've given it to a bunch of pros. And I thought this year would be a great year for me to maybe take a look at this. Cause I mean, with the quarantine stuff, even in the summer, there wasn't a lot of ice going around. So I got the system and I've been loving it. It's been great. I mean, for my first quarantine in Winnipeg, I used it a lot and I felt a big difference. I thought it really helped me. So I've been using that quite a bit and working out, stay in shape and watching a lot of golf and watching WGC. Oh yeah. Every tournament. Big golf watcher. Yeah.
Are you a golf? Do you play in the off season? Is that
yes.
your sport in the off season?
I will play 5-6 days a week usually.
Oh,
and
wow.
I practice a ton.
I have what's the handicap?
I started playing 5 years ago. I went from a 20.3 index to I am now like a 5.5 and I shoot around like 74, 75.
You're a good golfer then.
So
remind me not to play for money with you.
So I've worked a lot at my game. I work a lot. I mean, I have a little putting mat set up here. I have little foam balls I hit against a little thing. So it's something that I take a lot of pride in. I really enjoy. It's actually helped get my mind off hockey and just enjoy something.
Golf is the ultimate individual sport. Obviously it's you and the ball and there's nobody else that really impacts the game. Can you sort of see parallels between that and being a goaltender and that you're almost sort of, obviously you have your teammates, but you're the last line of defense there. And, when somebody's bearing down on you one-on-one, it's almost like you're on the golf course and that you're solely responsible for the outcome in this hole or in this play in hockey.
No, for sure. I mean, 100%. I mean, it's a lot of thinking, just like hockey. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of thinking. So you have to clear your mind before every shot, just like the same way in hockey. You have to clear your mind before every shot and just take it one shot at a time and just whatever happens, you have to accept the result and move on to the next one. And I think it's a very parallel. But I mean, I also play a lot of team golf, and that's even more fun than individual golf because you got a little partner. Myself and Josh Morrissey are a good team. I wouldn't play against us, by the way.
Okay, there you go.
I see the golf clubs behind you, so I'm like, okay, anytime you want to go, I'll take you and your buddy.
Hold on, are we going to set up the first ever Illegal Curve Texas Scramble with Eric Comrie and John?
I think we should.
As soon as the weather turns for the better, and then now that you'll be out of quarantine, absolutely, it would be our pleasure, Eric. I mean, you would school us. And
if you want to play with three terrible golfers, then that's what you're going to get by playing with us.
Well, I don't know. You could get a hot day. Maybe it's your home course. A lot of different things play into it.
If there's a hot day, we're more likely to just tip a few more beers back than really have that translate. In terms
you're going to see a lot of grandpa swings.
Yeah. Eric Comrie. Eric, thank you so much for joining us. I know that the quarantine is obviously rapidly coming to an end. We look forward to seeing you on the ice with your Winnipeg Jets teammates. All the best in the next couple of days and all the best going forward this season. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Awesome. Thank you. I got a question though. Has Dave always been a Dodgers fan, or is this first year Dodger fan?
No. This is now, Eric. Just I know you're an LA guy, so I know
I'm in LA, but I'm a Cubs fan. I'm a Cubs fan though.
Well, I was going to say I don't think you're a Dodgers fan if I recall correctly, but
yeah.
No, I'm just a pure hat guy, and I got yelled at last week because I'm actually a Jays fan. But I was wearing a Jays hat last week, and someone said, "Do you have to be talking about the Winnipeg Jets wearing a Jays hat?" And so I got in trouble, and I thought, okay, well, I'll switch it up. So I've got an extensive hat collection. So today,
so you got in trouble. You got in trouble again for being a Dodgers fan after winning a championship.
Yes, exactly. So this is an older hat, so I've had it for a long time. So it's not a championship. I'm following along.
Okay.
We want to see Dave take the hat off, let the gray hair, let it breathe, Dave. Embrace the gray, buddy. That's what we're telling you.
I don't think so.
Eric, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Enjoy
Eric.
tonight's game. All the best to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. You guys have a great day.
You too, Eric Comrie. There he goes,
Bye.
Winnipeg Jets goaltender. That was just fantastic. Eric Comrie joining us here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.